Headline: Key U.S. House races to watch in 2024 midterms. As Republicans strive to maintain their slim majority in the House, several pivotal races will shape the 2024 elections. In Arizona's 1st District, GOP incumbent David Schweikert faces strong Democratic challengers, including finance professional Conor O'Callaghan, former White House speechwriter Andre Cherney, and Dr. Amish Shah. In a neighboring district, Democrats Yasamin Ansari and Raquel Teran compete to succeed Ruben Gallego, who left his seat to run for Senate. In Washington state, Democrat Marie Gluesenkamp Perez defends her seat against Republican Joe Kent, who seeks a rematch after narrowly losing in 2022. Wisconsin's special election to replace retiring GOP star Mike Gallagher features a diverse field of candidates, with Republicans and Democrats competing in a primary on August 13th. New York's political landscape shifts as centrist George Latimer ousts squad member Jamal Bowman, following heavy spending by pro-Israel groups and controversy over Bowman's misdemeanor charge for pulling a fire alarm in Congress. With primaries and special elections set for August and November, these races are critical for both parties in the battle for control of the House. North Korea's failed satellite launch hints at Russian involvement, say South Korean lawmakers. North Korea's failed attempt to launch a reconnaissance satellite in May likely involved Russian assistance, according to South Korean lawmakers briefed by the National Intelligence Service, NIS. North Korea claimed it used a new liquid oxygen and petroleum engine, which exploded minutes after liftoff, but the NIS found no evidence of North Korea developing such technology independently, suggesting Russian support. This follows Russia's alleged aid in North Korea's successful satellite launch last November after a meeting between Kim Jong-un and Vladimir Putin. The two nations have denied arms transactions, but pledged to strengthen military ties, formalized by a comprehensive strategic partnership signed during Putin's visit to Pyongyang in June. Additionally, the NIS reported that Kim's daughter, Ju-ae, is being groomed for future leadership. The NIS also addressed concerns about the recent U.S. indictment of Sue Mi Terry, affirming that intelligence cooperation between Washington and Seoul remains strong and is expanding despite the controversy. Cambodian military helicopter found crashed 17 days after disappearance. The wreckage of a Cambodian military helicopter, which vanished on a training flight on July 12th, was discovered in the Cardamom Mountains in Pursat Province. The Z-9 helicopter went missing during bad weather with 2 pilots aboard. Search teams located the wreckage and recovered the bodies of the pilots, one inside the helicopter and the other 200 meters away. This incident follows a 2014 crash of another Chinese-made Z-9 helicopter that killed 4 military officials. Women and girls in Sudan endure widespread sexual violence by warring parties, report finds. A Human Rights Watch HRW report reveals extensive sexual violence against women and girls in Sudan, primarily perpetrated by the Rapid Support Forces, RSF, since the civil war began in April 2023. The report includes harrowing accounts of women and girls being raped, gang raped, forced into marriages, and subjected to sexual slavery, often in front of their families. One woman was raped repeatedly for days alongside her 4 daughters, while another was expelled from her home after becoming pregnant from rape. Survivors suffer severe physical and psychological trauma, with some injuries proving fatal. HRW criticized both the RSF and Sudanese Armed Forces, F, for blocking humanitarian aid, exacerbating the crisis. The conflict has displaced over 6 million people internally and driven 1.5 million to seek refuge abroad, with more than half the population at risk of famine. HRW calls for international intervention to end the violence and impose sanctions on responsible commanders, highlighting the urgent need for a global response to this humanitarian disaster. Druze in Golan Heights question their relationship with Israel amid rocket attack. In the wake of a rocket attack that killed 12 children in Majul Shams, a Druze town in the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights, the community is grappling with their complicated relationship with Israel. The attack, blamed on Hezbollah but denied by the group, has heightened concerns about their security and status. While the Druze have Israeli citizenship options, many have chosen not to, feeling marginalized. Some, like Moatasem Abu Salah, who is not an Israeli citizen, worry that the attack might not be taken as seriously as if it had targeted Israeli Jews. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's visit and promises of retaliation failed to quell frustrations, with locals expressing disillusionment over their protection and representation. The incident has intensified debate among the Druze about their identity and the adequacy of Israeli support, highlighting the complex intersection of national identity and security in the region. Record rains caused severe flooding on North Korea-China border. Water levels at the Amnok River, Yalu River in China, which forms part of the border between North Korea and China, have surged past dangerous levels due to record rainfall, leading to severe flooding in Sinuiju City, North Korea. Kim Jong-un was reported inspecting the damage, criticizing authorities for their lack of preparedness. This extreme weather event reflects a broader pattern of devastating floods across Asia, exacerbated by climate change. Recent storms, including Typhoon Gami, have caused significant flooding in the Philippines, Taiwan, and China. In China, at least 15 people died in a landslide in Hunan Province, while Liaoning Province, near the North Korean border, has seen over 45,000 evacuations and numerous suspensions of industrial activities due to heavy rains. The situation underscores the growing challenge of extreme weather events in the region. Gunman who targeted Trump was noticed over an hour before shooting, FBI reveals. The FBI disclosed that Thomas Crooks, the 20-year-old who attempted to assassinate Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump on July 13th, was identified as a suspicious individual over an hour before the attack. Police had taken a photo of Crooks and shared it with other law enforcement officials at Trump's Pennsylvania rally. Despite being spotted carrying a backpack and browsing news sites with a rangefinder, Crooks evaded immediate intervention. About 20 minutes before the shooting, he was captured on a police dashboard camera walking on the roof from where he would later fire at Trump. The FBI has yet to determine a clear motive for the attack, but has noted that Crooks had researched mass shootings, explosive devices, and a recent assassination attempt on a Slovakian prime minister. His online activities included 25 firearm-related purchases and 6 acquisitions of chemical precursors for explosives. Despite his intense interest in science and experiments, which did not concern his family, the FBI is piecing together a timeline of events leading up to the shooting and interviewing Trump as part of their investigation. Delhi LG announces compensation and measures after coaching center flooding. Lieutenant Governor V.K. Saxena has announced a Rs. 10 lakh compensation for the families of 3 civil services aspirants who tragically drowned after a basement flood at a coaching center in Old Rajinder Nagar. This decision follows Saxena's visit to the site, where he met with protesting students and promised prompt action against officials from Delhi Fire Services DFS, the police, and the Municipal Corporation of Delhi, MCD. A joint task force formed under the Delhi High Court's directive in response to a similar incident in Mukherjee Nagar earlier this year will now survey buildings in Rajinder Nagar to ensure safety compliance. Saxena also pledged to address grievances about exorbitant rents and fees charged by coaching centers by establishing a regulatory framework and fixing upper limits for such costs. Additionally, he promised immediate repairs for hanging overhead power cables and criticized Minister Saurabh Bharadwaj for delays in creating a comprehensive drainage management plan. A committee consisting of key officials will work on consolidating drainage management and implementing a master drainage plan to prevent future flooding issues. U.S. unveils $200 million aid package for Ukraine. On July 29, 2024, the White House announced a new security assistance package for Ukraine, valued at up to $200 million. This package includes air defense interceptors, munitions for U.S.-provided HIMARS systems, artillery and mortar rounds, Javelin anti-tank missiles, and other anti-tank weaponry. John Kirby, White House National Security spokesman, emphasized that this package is part of a broader effort to support Ukraine's defense against Russian aggression and to sustain equipment previously provided by the U.S. This announcement marks the 9th security assistance package authorized by President Joe Biden since late April. Ukrainian officials have been calling for more advanced air defense systems to counter Russian missile and drone attacks. the U.S. has committed over $50 billion in military aid to Ukraine since 2022. The ongoing support is seen as crucial, especially amid concerns about future U.S. aid if Donald Trump, a critic of continued assistance to Kyiv, were to win the upcoming presidential election. The Ukrainian Defense Ministry expressed gratitude for the continued U.S. support, which they view as pivotal in their efforts against Russian forces. Protests erupt over soaring power bills near Pakistan's capital. On July 29, 2024, massive protests erupted near Islamabad as around 3,000 supporters of the Islamist Jamaat-Islami Party staged a sit-in, blocking a key road into the capital. Demonstrators, drenched by monsoon rains, are protesting a 26% increase in electricity prices for the last fiscal year, followed by an additional 20% hike implemented on July 13th. The government has raised power bills to meet conditions set by the International Monetary Fund for a $7 billion loan deal. In Rawalpindi, protests have turned violent, with reports of police brutality and an internet shutdown. The Jamaat-e-Islami Party, led by Naeem-ur-Rahman, insists that the government address the price hikes and remove electricity taxes, vowing to continue their demonstrations until their demands are met. Australian inquiry to examine Christian extremists' terror attack. An Australian inquiry has started probing the December 12, 2022 ambush by Christian extremists on a rural Queensland property where Gareth Train, Nathaniel Train, and Gareth Stacey Train killed 2 police officers and a bystander while injuring a third officer. The inquiry, led by Queensland State Coroner Terry Ryan, will consider evidence from Deakin University's Josh Rose, who argues that the attack was a terrorist act intended to intimidate state authorities through a religiously motivated ideology. The extremists' social media posts and interactions with U.S. resident Donald Day Jr., who faces charges for threats, will be scrutinized. The inquiry will also explore the role of the train's anti-government and anti-vaccine beliefs, with COVID-19 restrictions and their refusal to vaccinate playing a significant role in their motivations. The investigation is expected to last 5 weeks, with evidence including the train's recorded defiance as they faced police encirclement.